So I've had my home kind of DIY powder coating set up for about maybe year and a half. I've probably done 30 or 40 pieces, and it works out great. And I've already made a video. You can kind of see the booth right here. This is the powder coating booth. Again, just a cardboard box. All you need is just something to contain the particles and some way to hang it and ground the piece you're working on. So it takes very little. It's obviously not very structural. I need to redo probably that box. And then here, the oven, I have a video of how I put this together as well. I'll put a link of it to it in the bottom in the description. But you can kind of see, and again, it works great. It gets up to heat really quickly. Just turn the knob up, it turns on. It probably takes 10 to 15 minutes to heat up, and then after that, when I open and close it, it heats up pretty quickly as well. It's just a single coil. I'll show that in a second. But you can kind of see the outside here. Again, this is just standard, I think this is R19 batting, and I just draped it around. It's literally just hanging from it. And this is my shop vac box that I just cut up and put over it. Again, it works out fantastic. I do temp readings on the box here, and it's like maybe 100 degrees when the oven has been going on for a while, so it is not getting hot. But again, this works out super great for me. I've insulated the inside. Again, I kind of showed how I did that a little bit in the prior video. But what I wanted to do at this point was just make it a little bit less janky or less kind of glued together. You know, theoretically safer, although again, it's not getting hot. There's nothing touching that's even remotely flammable on the outside cover. But I just thought I would try to make it a little bit nicer. Also, some kind of idea that potentially I'll be able to I can put this on the ground, maybe even put casters on the bottom, and then set the powder coating booth just to take up less space because I've kind of limited here in the third bay here. And then maybe set that on top of this. So I need something more structural here that I could set that box on, and then it's just sort of one moving unit that has the booth on the top and the oven on the bottom. I think that would be kind of nice and fun to be able to just kind of put out of the way when I need some space for some other things or when you need to bring it out again. But again, so I got this 1-inch R5, it doesn't really matter, but this kind of foam board here, and I think it was $30 at Home Depot. You can go to Lowe's or any of the big box stores and get it. It's a 4x8 sheet. You can get the 1/2 inch as well. I think that would work just as well. It was like $17, but I went ahead and just a couple extra bucks or something. When I got the 1-inch, so it's a little bit more structurally sound. And I'm just basically just going to repeat the box, replace this box out on the outside of this, make sure that the offsets, again, the cardboard box is kind of bent around it in funny ways. So I'm going to just basically build a box out of this and put it around there. Again, it does not get hot by any stretch, so I'm not really concerned about it. Maybe it's a little bit safer. This is less likely to catch on fire than a cardboard box, I suppose. But again, it's not a big concern of mine. I don't leave it out here, partially because my wife told me I wasn't allowed to, but not leave it out here while it's being unattended. And I'm going to go ahead and put the box together. I just got the foil tape for the insulation. And I'll put it together. I might put some clothes hanger little rods in there to stabilize it even a little bit more, but I'm going to kind of start cutting this with my box cutter and cut out the pieces. I think I already have the dimensions set up, and just make a simple box for around this and make it a little bit more structural so it can just sit on the ground and then potentially just put things on top of it as well. So I'm going to get to it. I'm going to go ahead and pull all this stuff off. Again, it was just, I haven't had this off since I put it together. There goes the box. There it is. And like I said, the batting here was just baked down a little bit, but I just had it taped and draped over it. That was it. There's masking tape on the top. Again, it takes almost nothing to to pull these things together. All right, I went ahead and cut each of those pieces. That worked really well. I basically just used a box cutter there and straight edge. It helps if you have kind of a 4-foot long drywall straight edge, and T-square, I guess that's a angle, whatever. Anyway, so I was able to make 90-degree, pretty straight cuts. I have it fit together now with masking tape. Again, the measurements are 4 inches all the way around the smoker or the powder coating oven. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put some aluminum tape. Got some of that here. I'm going to put that around the edges and tie everything up. I thought about threading some wire, basically just sewing the thing together, but this stuff is really dense. I tried putting a metal rod through it and I wasn't able to get very far at all. So I'm going to try with just the tape, hopefully with enough of that around each of the edges. It'll hold up reasonably well. It doesn't really have to hold up much weight. This thing is super light. I mean, this thing probably weighs 2 or 3 pounds, not any more than that. And then with the fiberglass insulation on the inside, it's going to be nothing. And then over here, I went ahead and I just took, just to hold the weight of it, I made a little cage. And this was out of I think like a front yard sign thing. And I just bent it and cut it. And so it's now 4 inches high, and the whole thing's just going to sit right on top of that. And that should be pretty stable and provide the right offset. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this thing up, and I'll show it when that's done. All right, all the pieces are taped together, and it is actually pretty sturdy. I mean, that duct tape, not duct tape, the silver metal tape here is actually pretty robust. It sticks really well to this, and it's holding it together nicely. So, I mean, I think that's pretty good. Again, it's just going to sit on top of the smoker here, or the powder coating oven. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the batting and put that in and somehow finagle it into the inside edges so that it can just kind of slide on and off on top of the smoker in case I need to disassemble it or do whatever. But yeah, that should be pretty straightforward. All right, the new enclosure is done, so I'm pretty happy with it. I think it came out pretty good. I'm probably going to do a couple other things in there. Kind of see again, I have the offset up there. That's a 4-inch offset. That's enough for the batting to come out, and along the sides here. It's totally enclosed on the inside. I have the cage that I showed sitting up there, so I can actually set something on this and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't scrunch that. I'll probably put something up here. I had like a little metal brace before. I'll probably do something just to tie that in and just keep that together. But other than that, it's I think it's just right. I'll show the back of it real quickly. So I just put that foil tape around all the seams, and it's holding it together pretty tightly. I thought I was going to have to weave some metal thread or wire or something around there, but I think this is going to work. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and time this out, and we're going to see how long. Again, before it took me about, and I'll link the video where I built this and pulled it all together. I'll link a video into this, but just to show, just as a quick reminder. So that just opens up like that. This is has some batting behind it, but other than that, it's just a single wall. I've seen people have bought like double walled, but this is just single wall. So even made the need for the batting and the surround and everything that much more important. But you can kind of see there, just a single element. Pretty good there. And I put batting in the bottom also, and I had some extra, some sheet metal I was working with, so I just put that down to lay down just as a protection on the bottom of it. And then on the edges here, I have like a green egg tape there, heat insulation tape to prevent. So we're going to see how long it takes to get up to temperature. before I had it, I pseudo timed it when I had it before, and it was like 14, 15 minutes to get it up to 400 degrees. But we're going to go ahead and have a little stopwatch here, an old school stopwatch. And we're going to take a look at how long this takes. So we're going to go ahead and turn this on. There we go. And we're going to start the timer. All right, we're 5 minutes in and we're up to 260 about, and it's on the move. There it is, 10 minutes, we made it. So that actually, having a little bit more insulation on the outside, and I think it's basically packaged a little bit better than the cardboard box I had before. I think that worked out really well. So I guess that's about it for this one. I have a bunch of other sort of at-home DIY powder coating with the oven, and also the powder coating booth that I put together. There's a couple other videos. If this was helpful at all, like, subscribe if you want to take a look at some of the other videos. I'll probably do a couple more as I go through. I'm probably going to redo my powder coating booth. It's also a box. I'm not quite sure what I want to do about that, but again, this stuff doesn't have to be super complex. It's pretty easy, inexpensive, just the batting and the sheet there, insulation sheet, or you can just use a box or whatever. It's super easy. This thing has been big enough for just about all the parts that I've done. There's only been one or two out of the 40 or 50 pieces that have required me to send it out. But again, works out great. So yeah, that worked out super well. Again, I'm pretty happy with it. Taking temperatures 75 degrees on the outside, 81, 87, 78, even inside there, 90. I mean, it's keeping the heat in pretty well. The front gets a little hot because it just has that little bit of baffling in there. That's 130 on the outside there, but that's, it's hot, but it's not real bad. But around on the inside, it's going to be perfectly fine. I've probably powder coated 40 or 50 items in this with the previous box that I had on it, and this doesn't. It does get steamy. It gets hot in there, but actually that's just the dust from the batting. Yeah, it works out great, and you can see I still have this on. And again, these things will not get above 250 to 300, somewhere in there, because of the thermostat in there turns it off. And if you look at my other video, I went ahead and crimped that and pushed it back so that the heat from the oven doesn't prematurely turn it off. So I'm able to dial that in pretty well. But this thing will get, I've never actually tried to max it out, but it'll get well above 500 degrees. And normally most of the powder I'm using is 400, 425, somewhere in that range. So I guess that's about it for this one. I have a bunch of other sort of at-home DIY powder coating with the oven, and also the powder coating booth that I put together. There's a couple other videos. If this was helpful at all, like, subscribe if you want to take a look at some of the other videos. I'll probably do a couple more as I go through. I'm probably going to redo my powder coating booth. It's also a box. I'm not quite sure what I want to do about that, but again, this stuff doesn't have to be super complex. It's pretty easy, Inexpensive, just the batting and the sheet there, insulation sheet, or you can just use a box or whatever. It's super easy. This thing has been big enough for just about all the parts that I've done. There's only been 1 or 2 out of the 40 or 50 pieces that have required me to send it out. But again, works out great.